a plethora of episodes. Okay. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, guys, welcome back. What is up? We are here on episode 7 with N'tima, and we are very, very excited. This is a very, very special episode for you guys. Well, let us introduce ourselves. If you are just now tuning in, you've never heard us before, we are a podcast for the creative looking to enrich their life with knowledge. We won't be giving you 3 ways to get rich quick. Quite frankly, there's a lot of that in this world, and it's kind of boring. No. We want to live full, sustainable, happy lives. So that's what we're here for. We are for the college avoider, the corporate dropout, the person burning the midnight oil on their next big project. We are here to talk with you, offer up the processes that work for us in our business, and to be real about the ones that quite frankly suck. So this might be your new fave podcast, but as always, we're a little biased. My name is Jessa.
And I am Cameron, and we have a guest today.
We have a guest today. This is Wisdom by Design, and Wisdom by Design is very excited to introduce N'tima.
Yeah.
Hello.
All the claps.
All the claps.
Clapter.
Can you tell our viewers, our listeners, people who have never even possibly heard of you before, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, it's a loaded question.
Big question.
Big question.
Big question. Out the gate.
She's saving the world, you guys. It's fine.
No. I'm the Preusser. I'm a mom to 2 little girls, and I, by trade, am a personal trainer. But the program I run is very much a life coaching mindset program, where I collaborate with an intuitive eating dietitian, a mindset specialist who does breath work, a mental health provider, a trauma coach, and we all kind of get together to look at all the aspects of what building habits really encompasses, and looking on kind of healing from the inside out before we try to look at any health habits, because that's really what's affecting us. And so yeah, I'm an infant in my business. I've been doing this for about a year now, and I've helped 13 women now. And it's been an honor. Like, it's such a joy. I feel like I learned so much. I come more in tune with like what life is really about every time I run around and I see these women kind of fight their battles and find what really fulfills them. And yeah, so that's what I'm here doing.
That's
and
dope.
I love it.
Though. Like the thing that really like gets to me about that is how we think a personal trainer should be compared to, like, Jess has told me how you like run your stuff, and it's more based on like how you think instead of like your body. Because a lot of there's a whole $1 billion, $1 trillion industry that is just based on what you look like, and it's trash. In all honesty, it doesn't get people very far. Most people fail, and it's really nice to see someone trying to do it a different way. How do you feel like people how do people take in what you do? Do you think they're like, oh, I don't really know what this is, or do they get it right away?
Yeah, it definitely requires a special like kind of person on the search for a very different kind of experience. I think it's really easy to sell like, hey, this is going to change your body, hey, like, let's lose weight, like that will sell very easily. And so I have to be very clear in my messaging. This is not a weight loss program. This is a program to help you kind of learn how movement can be medicine and habits can help heal you. Because yes, I believe deeply in like movement being able to help with mental health and help with people who are really struggling, like really in it. But I also understand that a person who may be severely depressed or anxious, they're not going to be able to just jump into a workout program right away. And so again, in my messaging, I'm very clear, like, this is for people who have not been able to keep habits long term because of their mental health, because of the way that they believe it should look, or if they can't even get out of bed, right? Like
Yep.
that, this is for those kind of people.
Yep. That's dope. I've been reading this book called Limitless, and it talks about when it comes to like the mindset, a lot of people have these kind of lofty ideas, lofty goals for themselves, and they aren't able to accomplish them. So the more you don't accomplish them, the more you think you're a failure. And that mindset, your mind doesn't know the difference between you trying to accomplish something and you failing. So it automatically thinks that you're failing over and over again. And that can just put you down in a hole. And it's just crazy because I've always thought myself as a procrastinator instead of someone who accomplishes things. But like when you really think about it, it's all in the mindset. I mean, if you take working out and you, instead of trying to do it an hour a day, you do 5 minutes a day and call it working out, like you still worked out. Like you accomplished that.
You make a good point, because scientifically, we have neural pathways that hold these beliefs about who we are based on our experiences growing up. And if you are telling yourself, I'm a procrastinator, I'm lazy, I'm not someone who works out, your body is going to make sure your behaviors match that belief. So like you said, if you can commit to, even for my clients, we start with 3 minutes a day. And if you can commit to that, you're starting to shift that belief of, oh, I'm someone who works out. It doesn't matter how long you're doing it, you're able to change that identity, because that identity really drives your behaviors, and ultimately, puts you in the scenarios that you're in. And that's why we do what's called a mindset audit within our program, where we get really deep and we get really clear on what it is we believe we are, or like what we believe exercise should be, or nutrition should be, or success looks like, whatever those beliefs are. We need to know what those are first before we can start to like change those.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you younger, do you feel like you struggled with all of this stuff too? Like,
oh yeah,
like younger N'tima?
oh yeah, that's why it's written the way that my program is written, the way that it's written, because it's exactly my experience. I mean, for one, having had childhood trauma and a lot of things growing up that made chronic anxiety and depression a very real experience in my life. And then having children, and then also having the postpartum experience that came after that, and body image issues, which are kind of a symptom of that mental illness, right? So experiencing that and believing that, like, okay, if I lose the weight, this is going to solve my problems, this is going to be it. And it was heartbreaking when I realized, once the weight was lost, that I was still sick. And like, it was a devastating experience to be in a smaller body and realize, like, oh my gosh, like I still have all these beliefs. I still don't love myself. I still struggle. And so that's when I started the process of healing, yes, I still utilize the tools of fitness and nutrition, but I used it in a way that was serving me versus as a punishment. And I went through that experience, and I used so many different tools, all of the tools that I offer my clients, and found my way back, and have released a lot of that trauma and a lot of those beliefs. And it's why, in good conscience, I could never have a fitness program that's like, all we're going to do is work out and lose weight and that's it, because that's not it. It doesn't work.
Dang.
And I don't want my clients to be unhappy. So
I feel like that should be at the end of every like weight loss commercial, is N'tima popping up saying it doesn't work. You won't be happy.
And it's not to say that no one could be happy. However, if their intention is to heal themselves with that, it's not going to do it. And unfortunately have seen that in a lot of people. And that's when disordered issues come up, right? So it's like, okay, we think if we diet, we exercise, we're going to be happy. And when it doesn't work, you start getting disordered eating, disordered relationship with exercise, because it's like, how much more? How much will it take? How much is enough to make this, to make me feel better? And it's never enough.
Jessica's just taking it all in.
I've already like tried to prevent myself from crying like 14 times because
Do it. Cry.
I love when you cry in a good way.
I know. I was literally telling Cam before we got on here. Oh, come on, Justin. Don't do it.
So it's okay.
It is okay.
How sick I was when I met you. And I just think about that person. And I'm like, man, she just needed to be loved, huh? And then I met N'tima, and it was like, I mean, I couldn't get out of bed. I hated photography. The one thing that always made me happy, I hated it. I didn't feel like a good mom. I didn't feel like a good wife. Life sucked.
Yeah.
And I go through this program and, you know, I see all these other women and they're hurting just as badly as I am. And I see this woman in front of me and she's like, hey, do you know that there is a different story going on here? Like, hey, you've actually been through quite a lot. Have you taken time to recognize that? Like, you know, just this very gentle, loving human that is literally walking me through all these things because I didn't know that there were other options. I had no idea. I had been stuck so heavily in, no, I am depressed. No, I do have anxiety. No, I have these panic attacks. I can't do these things. And I was tied by that. I was so stuck in that narrative. I didn't think that there was anything else. And even in the program, I struggled with certain things, but it was because it was new. I had never flexed that muscle before, and I had never done those things before. And like, I look at it now and I don't remember the last time I had a panic attack. I love walking in the morning. You know, I love taking time for myself, and it's like, I wouldn't have known that was a possibility without you. So, you're not doing like, huh?
I said, oh, my heart.
This work that you're doing, and I know I've told you before, and I'll just say it 1,000 times. It's life changing. And I don't think that I would even be where I'm at right now if it weren't for me saying, I'm doing this program. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to do it. And even during the times that it was the hardest, I still am so thankful every single day that you created that program. So thank you.
My first round. It was an honor. Like, you taught me so much and you did the work. Like, you showed up and you were willing to look at the pain.
Ooh.
And you were willing to say, you know, a lot of times, unfortunately, at least in my experience, that anxiety and that depression, it becomes our comfort. It's like, this is what I know. This
1,000%.
is familiar.
Yeah.
And it's really scary to say, I don't have to identify with that anymore. I can be a person that experiences these things because that's the human experience. Like, that's normal. We're allowed to be multifaceted. But it doesn't have to be the only thing I am. And it's scary. Like, it's terrifying because, like I said, sometimes being scared is our safety.
Oh, you were the very first person to tell me, because Cam, you know how you're saying like, oh, I'm a procrastinator, I'm this and I'm this. I used to get so upset because I would, not be, I wouldn't be doing these certain things in the program or in life. And I it was the first time N'tima looked at me and said, Jessa, you're not doing those things because you're lazy. You're not doing those things because you're a procrastinator. You're doing those things because it kept you safe for the longest time.
Yeah.
And that just like, the switch went off in my brain, and she's like, that's literally all I've known. Literally for 2 years, I was depressed, undiagnosed.
Mhm.
I wasn't getting out of bed. I wasn't going to work. I wasn't eating, or when I was eating everything in the house. Like like my body, I had no normal. It was just survive, 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 survive. And for 2 years. So when I get to this program and, they're like, okay, well, let's leave the house. I'm like, what do you mean leave the house? I don't want to leave the house. What do I need to do out there that I can't do?
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain is literally built to keep you safe.
Yeah. It'll do everything in its power to keep you safe. And if that means that you're telling yourself you're a procrastinator, like, you feel safe doing things that uphold that belief.
Yeah.
And funny thing you say, the going outside thing. Because like I said, I've been trying to dive into all the mindset stuff too, but just kind of on my own. And me and my wife were talking the other day, and she's like, well, I've been asking you to take me on dates for years and you just won't do it. And we were just having the conversation. I'm having a hard time with this. We were having the conversation, and she was like, well, what's up with like going out? Like, why don't you want to go out? And I was like, of course I want to make you happy, but I think I'm just scared. And like, it made me realize that like, I'm afraid to be outside because of the color of my skin. Like, and I've embedded that because there was a time, like I was like 10 years old. My mom was like, and I feel like Black parents do this and maybe we should stop. But she sat me down and was like, the world out there, there's going to be people who don't like you. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult. And I think from that moment on, I decided I wasn't going outside anymore and I wasn't going to experience what was out there. So she said that, and we were talking about it, and I said that, and I just instantly started crying. And I was just like, it's just these things that we like build our life on for, like you said, safety. Like, if I see that that's what's happening to Black people out there, then of course that's why I did that. But we don't always tell ourselves why immediately. We just like, well, let's just protect and then we'll worry about it later. So it's something I've really been like working on. We've gone out to like, I took my son out to a splash pad like 2 weeks ago, and I had the best time because I wasn't worried about that anymore. Like, I was like, I'm okay. Like, I can be out here. We can have fun. Like, so we've been going out and I've been enjoying it. And it's just so weird that before that, I was just terrified, like, and didn't know why. It just was your mind, which I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and when you think about it, we have those tribal instincts, those primitive brains, and like, keeping you alive is its only goal. Like, that's its number one thing. Nothing else matters. And I think something that's really profound is the fact that you're able to identify where that belief came from, what is happening out in the world is confirming that belief for you, and it's valid, and validating that, I think, is really important. Telling yourself like, you're allowed to be scared. Like, that's okay. And I'm still allowed to go to the splash pad with my kid. Right? They're both valid, and being able to hold that ambivalence is really important. Being able to say both are true. Like, I can be scared because this is reality, and I can also be courageous in this moment, in this small thing, and retrain myself to feel safety in being out of my house, and like retraining it to find that safety, and like finding smaller moments where you can practice that, even if it's just standing on your porch, right? And so that's something we work on a lot in the program, is really identifying, okay, where's that fear? We need to name it. We need to validate it. We need to offer it compassion. Because I think a lot of times we want to shame ourselves, right? We want to be like, what the heck is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just go out and do it? Everyone else is doing it, right? And then it just creates a cycle. So if you can change that narrative and offer that compassion, like, of course you're scared. That's okay. Like, take that little kid in you and say, that's okay. I see why you're scared, but let me hold your hand because I got your back now, and we're going to be safe. And we find little ways to challenge that. I never throw my clients into something that's going to give them a panic attack, right? Like, for me, for example, like, I'm never going to just jump in my car and drive to a different state because that terrifies me. Driving is very hard for me. So I'm going to drive my kids to school, or I'm going to drive to Starbucks. And I slowly am giving myself these moments to retrain my nervous system to feel that safety. And I might be scared again the next time, and that's okay. I think sometimes we just get so mad at ourselves for being scared.
Yeah.
Oof.
You
See,
know,
you see what I'm talking about, Cam? It's
I did it. I definitely did it. Like, and it's the energy too, where she's just like, yeah, I understand. And I'm like, you do, you get it, you got me.
she's the healer. I mean that in the most like you have that empathy and you have that experience and you have that, I mean, you can tell that it's something that you're so passionate about and you care about, and it's something that you're so freely willing to give to other people around you because you know what it's done for you. Like that in itself is just
Thank you. Thank you for seeing that. It means a lot.
How did you? Yeah. Oh, you can go, Jess.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
How did you even build this? Like, how did you put like all the pieces together? Is it?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I've told Jess this in the past. I had all intentions of just being like a normal fitness instructor person. Like, I'm gonna make you count your macros, we're gonna work out. Like, it was so boring, so surface level. And this was only like a year ago. And then I went to start building my program, and one of the first things that changed my mind is I started looking for a dietitian to work with. The one I found is very, very big on anti-diet, intuitive eating, all of that intuition. I was like, you know what, that feels more right. That I don't want to tell people what to do. And then it just kind of like very organically came together when I was so I kind of built like a outline of my program and what the modules would be on. And I knew that there needed to be a mindset piece because I knew habits couldn't be built if we were stuck in certain mindsets. And then it was like, as I'm building a business, which I'm sure you guys understand, you have to confront a lot of your own things. Like, a lot of things come up. Like, it's painful. I don't think there's anything more uncomfortable than being an entrepreneur. So I had a lot of my own fears come up, a lot of my own limiting beliefs, a lot of my own trauma, making it really difficult for me to show up, to do the things I needed to do. And it made me realize, like, this can transfer into any part of life. And so kind of as things came up for me, as I was healing them, I'm like, okay, this is something I need to share with my clients. Like, it might have been a book I was reading or a podcast I was reading, some sort of concept that came up for me, and I would add it to the program. And now, Jess, I need to get you on the new curriculum because there's so much. There's so many modules. There's things on like
I'm already
presence and energy and
I'm already
no. You don't have to save up. This is available to you because you've been a client. Yeah, we're just gonna add you into the curriculum on the website. Girl,
I literally was in the shower last night. I was like, oh, I need to do another like round of N'tima's program. Like, I literally was.
I mean, I would be happy to have you, but like you'll get the curriculum regardless. So yeah, like it was just piece by piece. The more I learned, the more I implemented and integrated. It was just like, okay, I need to give this to the women I serve, because like if I was living it, it was changing me. I just had to share. I don't know. So there's my answer, I guess. It just kind of happened. Yeah.
But I definitely agree with the piece where it's like everything just comes up. Like, for me, I got like the reason that I went the entrepreneur route is because I got laid off. So you're like, oh, I'm an engineer, I'm just doing my life. And then you go and like confront all these things that is just baggage along. I feel like everybody at the age of 18, you therapy. Go to therapy.
Yes, amen.
Therapy.
Because even if you had like a good childhood, whatever, everybody has something. So, and that all needs to be challenged before you decide to go out in the world and kind of foot it on your own. Otherwise, you're not going to touch it until some people never touch it because they go and they do their comfortable lifestyle until they're retired, and then there's the problem. Then they have the problems. But to confront it in your 30s, you're just like, man, there was just a lot of baggage here, and I didn't take the time or know to take the time to even look at some of this stuff. Like,
agreed. I think 30 is the new 18, honestly. Like, I don't think you should know what you want to do till you're 30. I feel like you shouldn't know yourself till you're 30, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, therapy earlier would have been So helpful. Because your whole life, like, so many people like walk around blindly, unknowing that like so much of what's stored in their body is
Mhm.
affecting every move they're making, every decision, every reaction they have in their relationships.
Yep.
It's everything. And they're suffering when they don't necessarily need to. And I always see like therapy, I think therapy's scary because it means like you have to confront things, you have to look at things. But I always see it as this like temporary pain to avoid that long-term suffering.
Mm, mm.
So
That needs to be on a
you got to
shirt.
pick your poison, right? Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it somewhere. I can't take credit. I don't remember where I heard that, but probably a book.
Probably a book.
I like that. Though.
So our main audience is creatives, people who are either doing this as a side hustle or they're doing this as their full-time passion. And you had mentioned before that burnout has really been on your heart. What
Yeah.
can you tell our listeners, the people who are here trying to better themselves, as business people, as people in general? What can you tell them about that burnout that they are living with and think that they have to live with? A lot of
Mm,
people think that burnout just comes with business, and
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
not true.
Unfortunately, that's the first thing that needs to be confronted is what you believe it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
If you believe success is running yourself into the ground and never resting, then that's something you have to deal with right away.
Mhm.
Um, and that's going to present as you constantly crisis seeking, constantly chasing the chaos, constantly overbooking yourself. If you are feeling that burnout, then that means there's a belief inside somewhere that means you think it should be that way,
Mm.
Right.
or that you think you deserve that. Or um, maybe it's not a belief around business. Maybe it's a belief that you were given as a child that you had to fix things all the time, that you were responsible for other people's emotions. So you're trying to find other ways to kind of like be the hero
Mhm.
by overbooking, right? So something I always tell my clients, regardless if they're an ER nurse or a teacher or a creative, is um, scheduling in buffer days, like, or even hours in your day, right? Like you should never have a day where you don't have a moment where you are sitting and doing absolutely nothing. You shouldn't have a week where you don't have at least one day where you're sitting and doing absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
You have to reset that nervous system before you get to the point of burnout. You don't wait till you're there to decide, oh, now I need some care. Oh, now I need to take care of my
Mhm.
needs. No, 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 no. We got to do that preventative maintenance, right? That harm reduction. And that looks like doing things when it may not feel like you need it yet. You know, you might not feel like, oh, I'm not that stressed. So why should I go on a walk or why should I take myself out for lunch? Do it anyway. Make it a habit, make it a regular thing. Um, and also I've always told Jesse, you know, you need those rest days. Your brain needs those rest days. And another way to do that is theming out your days. So we worked a lot on, you know, photography will be your Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing, but Tuesday and Thursday you can work on something different. Maybe your home needs a little care, maybe
Mhm.
your body needs a little care. Maybe you just want to be a mom that day or a dad that day. Um, choose those days ahead of time so you're not like trying to do them at the same time. I feel like that's where we get little stuck too, is like when we're trying to do it all at once, all of
Mhm.
the different categories.
Yeah.
And ask for support. Help is important. I think sometimes we think, nope, we got to do it all. I can't delegate. I can't say no. If you're a people pleaser, right? Raise your hand because I sure was.
Still
Yeah.
working on it.
And that's something, and that again goes back to that safety.
Mhm.
Think, was there a time in my life where when I disappointed someone, it meant I got in trouble
All the
or it
time.
meant I got hurt,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So is it going to feel unsafe to disappoint people now? Is it going to feel unsafe to say no to people now? So it's right? Recognizing that fear, validating that fear, and then finding ways to retrain and find safety and saying no, or in resting, right? Or in asking for help.
Mm-hmm. We are very, very big about community here, and my love for community, whether I even realized it or not, was when I met you. And
Mm.
and I had Emma, and I had these two women that were just like, Jessa, it can be different.
Right.
It
Yeah,
can
it can look however
literally
you
be
want it to
different.
look.
Yeah, yeah.
There are
And
no rules.
right. And then I meet Cam, and like he's, reaching out to all these people, and he's learning from all these people, and I'm like, wow, you can actually ask people for help, and it's okay. Like,
Right.
for
Yeah,
some of us that's a very, very foreign concept. We
true.
think we have to do everything on our own. We have to fix everything on our own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
beautiful when someone can.
for sure. Yeah, it's something that I've always struggled with because I guess I would call myself the overachiever. In high school, I was the valedictorian, the athlete, the
Wow.
everything. So I
Yeah.
thought that you do life, you got to do it yourself, else no one's gonna do it. Like it's not gonna be done right. So I've really
Right.
had to kind of address that and like you said, retrain it. It's so difficult though. Like
It is.
building community, because I feel like for men community is really hard. Like I tell my wife all the time, I'm like because I've reached out to a lot of different people, because when I lost my job I was like, I'm just going to reach out to designers and I'm going to really like sit down and have conversations, try to forge some friendships, just so I'm not alone doing this, which I think that was just for safety. That was just so I felt okay in doing it.
Mm.
I reached out to a lot of about 50-50 men and women. All the women said, yes, I'll sit down,
Mm.
I'll talk to you. All the men said, I'm too busy. And me
Mm.
and my wife have talked about like how for men, we don't value community. We don't value friendships in the same way. And I'm really struggling with that right now. Like how to even go about that. And then some of the people that I've
Mm.
had to like try to be like that are dads and try to be friends with, I'm just like, there's nothing here. So
Oh,
it's
Mm.
like,
yeah.
it's really hard. Like, and I think
Yeah.
I watched my dad grow like when I was growing up, and my mom had friends and he never did. And it seemed like
Yeah.
he just didn't know how to do it. So
Right.
it's really weird in that way.
Yeah. I've definitely witnessed that in my own family too. Um, and yeah, that's hard. That's hard when you are recognizing a need and struggling to like find someone to fulfill that need.
Yeah.
Uh, and society, you know, society has its all its own made up rules that in impact everyone, and
Mm.
Yep.
that's unfortunately.
It's really weird, but it's something that I'm trying to embrace, because if maybe all the people who are in my friend circle are women, fine, who cares?
Yeah.
That's not on
True.
me. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
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 so
Yeah.
it's a very strange thing, but I hope that like there's more people like me who are trying to challenge it, who like, because
Right.
it can be different. I think that will really help with a lot of the problems that we're having with men in society, is just that
Mhm.
cornered, like visceral, like they just don't know what to do. That anger, like all of that is just
Right.
from being scared and in a corner and
Yeah.
alone. So if we can
Huh.
as a society try to work on that and work on that in our sons and like for that
Mm.
next generation, and that's
all
Yeah.
all our society knows is be a man.
yeah.
Mhm.
Be a
Yeah,
man.
Mm.
Be a
for
Yeah.
sure.
man.
Yeah. Definitely needs that challenging. It definitely needs healing. There's a lot of
Mhm.
men who need to confront their pain,
Mhm.
feel it, because anger really is that suppressed pain. It's
Yep.
just
Yeah,
a
it's
just
hurt.
a symptom. Hmm.
Anger is hurt. Yes.
Yeah, and so I think a lot. I don't know. I commend you for what you're doing, because I feel like challenging that is really what's going to change everything, and parenting boys and all of that. Yeah,
Yep.
teaching I guess our daughters what is acceptable.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of I would say a lot of people are like, well, this is the worst time to be alive. And I think that is the biggest lie in like, because I feel like
Yeah.
we're
Going on in their
in
lives, like
like people our
Like,
age, they're like, I'd rather be born in the 20s. And I'm like, are you kidding?
what? Like,
But there's just so much we're in the position to make a lot of change and to
yeah,
really have control over a lot of things that our parents and our grandparents didn't have control over. Like
right.
us all being entrepreneurs, I'm sure the generation before us wasn't that. My
Mm-mm.
parents weren't
Mm-mm.
entrepreneurs. So we just have a lot of control, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I was thinking because, the reason we built Wisdom by Design is because we want to provide that community that we never had. We never had that community to say like, hey, yeah, these things can be different. These systems are different. You can ask for help. You can do these things. You have, whether you meant to or not, built a community around yourself and around your women. And how do you think, do you think it would have been different if it would have just been you? Do you think it would have been as impactful if you had not have created this entire group of women to support other women?
No, not a chance. And this was actually something that was really difficult for me because collaborating was really scary. Getting on the phone was scary for me in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
there is a lot of things I had to deal with. And so reaching out and finding women was really scary. Working with other people, it kind of like adds a layer of like pressure, like you need to show up, like people are relying on you now, you have people to pay, like there's more responsibility, and that was a hard decision for me. But there is no way in heck that it would have ever worked out the way that it has without these women. Like, they are so wise and like powerful and like confident and just these beacons of light that just come up. Like, they're also different too, so they just come with like their own like power that just made this program what it is. And like, I truly, like, I hope and pray that like they can be a part of it till the end of time, because they, I don't know, like, I'm just so thankful for their part in the program. And the community is really important. The layers of support that they offer is really important. The diversity, the experience, and it's like some calls, like let's say nutrition is more like educational and supportive, and then mindset is more like we do energy work and we do breath work and we get to really tackle like that mind stuff. And then on mental health, it's more like, hey, I'm having a bad week, can we talk about some coping mechanisms? And then with trauma, it's like, okay, this is what your nervous system is doing. And so it's kind of like every piece. And like, I can't do that on my own. I can't. Maybe I could, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't. I wouldn't be qualified either for some of it. It'd be illegal to teach some of it, so I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh, I
dope.
love that.
What is your background in, like, before all of this?
So I have a culinary arts degree.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I do. Yeah. So we do a cooking call within our class, or within the program, which is fun. I have my personal training certification. I have my mindset certification from Brian Grasso, and then that's it. Like, it's really, I was raised, both of my parents are mental health providers, which I think
Okay.
is a big reason why I'm very mental health focused. I'm very conscious around that. I probably should just go get my psychology degree or something. That's probably in the books down the future. But yeah, I guess also a big part of my audience is with me because of my writing. I have written for a long time. I had a book that came out in 2017. And I wrote a lot about motherhood and mental health. That was a big part of like what got me an audience and a community, was just kind of being really open about my mental health with parenting. So I guess that is a big core piece of that.
That's dope.
That book
That's
was
dope.
the first introduction to N'tima before I even knew who N'tima was. Emma
I love
Emma
that.
bought me that book when Sophie was born, and I had no idea what was going on with me. Postpartum depression is real. It is
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
real. I felt
Yeah.
like some crazed, out of my
Mm-hmm.
mind monster. And then I
Yeah.
start reading all of these beautiful stories that literally just have me sobbing in bed while I'm eating granola bars, and I'm covered in baby spit up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's other people who did this too. Okay.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And yeah, there was never anything like that when I first had my first baby. There was never anything talking about like how freaking hard it is.
Yeah.
And so yeah, one of the first essays I wrote, so I wrote an essay about body image when my daughter was about 1, and that kind of went crazy. And that's how the company that I wrote the book with found me. And then I wrote an essay that's in the book about mental health. And my baby cried a lot as a baby. She was a very colicky baby, and I talked about that. And that kind of went wild too. And it was because no one talked about, no one said like, hey, if your motherhood is ugly, that's
Yeah.
okay, it's
Yeah.
normal, we're all a mess, we're all drowning. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you need to suffer though. Just because
Yeah.
it's normal doesn't mean like you shouldn't ask for help. But yeah, just letting people be seen was really important because I felt really unseen and really lonely.
Dang. That's dope. Like, cause I don't know. I guess seeing cause I'm again, I'm the dad, not the mom. I didn't carry a
Yeah.
baby, but like, there's just a lot. I know in watching my wife like be pregnant and then give birth, there's just a lot. Again, we talk about like trauma, that
Yeah.
whole, and the
Oh
way that
yeah.
people treated her while she was pregnant, and like the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is just like,
Yeah.
it is, the whole thing's just trauma. And then having to
Yeah.
give birth, like some people have
Birth is
very
trauma.
traumatic births, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
just, and then and my wife's a doula, so she's really
Oh
working
wow.
on trying to create a kind of a safe space for pregnant women,
That's
where they can kind of
amazing.
all different types of pregnancies come and kind of hang out and know that you're not alone. But she didn't have that when she was really
Yeah.
like pregnant. So just a lot of people telling her it was, you're fat, lose weight, and we're like, wait, you're
Mm-hmm.
pregnant. Why are
Yeah.
you treating people like this? And you knew this before she was here to be taken care of, that we were bigger
Mm-hmm.
people. So why do you care? Like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just kind of in a lot of the way things are just set up. We were talking about society
Yeah.
earlier, it's the same thing.
Right.
Um,
Medical stigmas,
it's real.
especially for um I don't know. Sorry, I'm assuming, is
No,
your wife black or is she
she's white.
okay? I'm sorry. I was gonna say especially
No,
for
no,
black women, but then I was like, that was totally an assumption on my part. I'm so sorry.
no, it's all good.
But especially even with bigger, larger body people, there's
Yeah.
a stigma there, and it's awful. Like there are so many things that are ignored because
Mhm.
of the stigma that is within the medical field, and it's dangerous and it's scary that that's the case. And so I mean, what your wife is doing is amazing. Um,
Yeah.
Creating a space for pregnant women, like that's incredible and important.
Yeah. So I think it's all like, I feel like the women in my life are doing amazing things. Like even meeting you today, I feel like everybody is on this path to do like some really great things and really affect people in a positive way. Like we don't give credit to people for doing things like that because it's quote unquote not cool enough. But this is the most important stuff. Like
Yeah.
you help people in a way that, like Jessica said, gets them out of bed every day. Like what's more important than that? Like,
I try. I try. You guys are doing important things too, though. Like you guys are amazing.
yeah,
Aw.
we're
Well,
great.
what'd you say?
I said we're great.
We're great. You guys great. Is there anything else that you think is important to talk about that we have not touched on? Um, I'm not
Hmm.
sure. We've covered so much, and it's
I
so
know.
such valuable information. Um, So yeah, anything else that's just anything else that can come up. If not, it's okay. We would love for you to tell everybody about, if you have any programs opening up soon, where they can find you, things like that. So feel free to go into that too if you can't think of anything else.
I think it's just important to know that it's never like too late to heal. Like you're never too broken. Like anything that you want is available to you and you're worthy of it. And it doesn't mean that it'll be super easy, but there are resources available and there are people like ready to help. And so find like that next step, that next small thing you can do for yourself, even if it's just going and getting a glass of water right now. Like even if that's it, even if it's taking a deep breath, right? You are worthy of those smaller things, and those smaller things will lead to real life change. And lower your expectations, right? Like being successful does not have to look a certain way. There are no rules. Do whatever you want, like have fun. Like I feel like people just take life way too seriously, and we just gotta chill, So those are my thoughts. I do have a workshop on self-acceptance that's opening up on June 27th. And then I will be opening the doors to my BBB program that same day, and we start in July. So you can find me on Instagram with just my name. I'm sure you will have it linked or written somewhere, because if I say it, you won't know how to spell it anyway.
It'll be under you.
We'll link
it. It'll be under me. Okay.
In the frame.
Perfect. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm also newly on TikTok, having a lot of fun over there, talking a lot about parenting, actually.
Her TikToks are awesome, you guys. You have to, yes, they are they're so funny, and some of them are like, I'm gonna go cry now. Like,
it's always the goal. I laughing and crying is my whole life.
I don't think we actually told them what your program is called. You said BBB, and that's probably the first time we've said it in this entire thing.
So it's called the Balanced Being Blueprint. Yes. And it's 12 weeks. And like I said, it's we're actually moving into group programming. So it'll be small, intimate groups every week. You get to talk with me and we get to set goals. And then we meet with the collaborators. We have a couple calls a week. So it's very high touch. It's very like thorough. It requires some commitment. But your life will change. Your life will start to unravel, and you'll start connecting dots and really seeing yourself for maybe the first time ever. So I'm really excited for the next round.
You guys, I would not be here. I would not be the Jessa that is sitting in front of you without N'tima. So,
and I wouldn't be me without you.
No.
I mean that.
It is really a life-changing experience. If you owe yourself anything, I mean, you owe yourself a lot. You really do. You should be able to give yourself whatever you need. But if you don't even know where to start, seriously, just sit down and read about this program. It takes you from step zero, literally step zero, and says, hey, there's a beautiful life ahead of you.
Let me love you. Yes.
Let me love you. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, was there anything else? So TikTok, Instagram.
That's where I'm at.
That's where you're at. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you spending time with us today. It was an honor.
You guys are the best. You guys are so fun. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Oh gosh, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to episode 7. This was freaking fantastic. N'tima here, changing women's lives. And yeah, so if you are listening to us or if you're watching us on YouTube, we are on YouTube at Wisdom by Design Podcast. You can find us on every podcast, anything. If you do want to listen to us and you're on the way, to work or whatever, Wisdom by Design Podcast on everything, Spotify, Google, Apple, all of it. And then we're also on Instagram at Wisdom by Design Podcast. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Please follow N'tima. Even if you're a guy, is that okay? Like, I think that this is information that is valuable to everyone. Seriously. Even just your posts, the posts that you put on Instagram, like I've told so many girlfriends and they're like, oh, well, you know, I don't know if I can afford that. I don't know if I can afford that. I said, that's fine. I said, but what you need to do is you do need to go follow her, because the posts that you put on there are so well thought out and so full of information and so beautiful. And even when they hurt, they're beautiful. You know, you just have so much to give, even for free. So if you
Thank
guys
you.
do anything, just follow and just see what she's talking about, because this is a whole other level.
Yeah.
A whole other
And the
level.
workshop we're holding in June will only be $11. So we're trying to
Nice.
make some more accessible options for people. So
Yeah. And you said that's June 27th?
7th.
Okay. And that's about
Yep.
self-acceptance, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I don't know, Cam. We might have to do that one, man.
Come
Might
on
might have to
over.
do it as a business.
You have, well, I mean, if you're a past client, you're free access. So I would love to have you anyway.
All right, Cam, I'll spot you. I think I can spot you $11.
I'd be down.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
All
thanks
right.
for tuning in, guys. Episode 7, Wisdom by Design. We love that you're here. Thanks for showing up. I'm Jessa.
And I'm Cameron.
And
I'm N'tima.
that's it. I think we should tell people they're allowed to like say hi and bye and like
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
it's like hi. Yeah. Oh man.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye.
All right. Bye now.
Have a fantastic day. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much
Thank
for hanging out
you.
with us.
It was